All right, folks, everybody good? Got a white balance? Yeah. Got a question loaded up, ready to send down the chute? All right. Well, in that case, we'll turn it loose. And
Tony's on fire.
Let him rip.
Yeah, he is. Zion talked the other day about spending some time in nickel. What do you like about him at that spot, and how are you kind of splitting his responsibilities right now?
Yeah, I mean, you saw last year, when Andrew went down in the Mississippi State game and he jumped in there. It's nice to be able to play him in some of that field overhang, nickel, medium, all that, that he can get at times closer to the box. He's got a great feel for football, so that position is so much about feel and getting him close to the action. I know he loves that, where he can get his, nose dirty and get in, make tackles, be able to blitz a little bit more from that spot. It's a good thing for him, and it's a good thing for our defense. Allows us to be multiple and flexible.
Right, do you still see Alex Safari as one of the best 11? And how do you balance finding him a home inside versus getting your best 11?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think everything is going to come down to getting guys in the right situations against the right personnel. It's so much as personnel matchups. Like, you're trying to get the right bodies on the right bodies. And so he can still play out to the field. He can come in. He's a really good will linebacker. So we preach for our guys to be able to be multiple. And when you can be multiple within the scheme, it allows us flexibility to do different things, and it makes it harder on offenses. And you mentioned those two specifically, and the two guys that have really bought into that, both Zion and Alex. And hey, the more we can do, the more versatile we can be, the more packages we can sort of, bounce in and out of. It makes it harder to identify. And just really proud of both of those guys in terms of how they've bought into it. You got to put in a lot of work to be able to play different positions like that.
Brad, with two SEC games so early in the season, does that change at all how you approach camp?
No, I don't think so. I don't. It doesn't really matter who you play. Camp, you got to approach as, hey, this is our time to work and get our team set. And if you look at it, I don't know how many years it is now. It's probably 3 of the 6 that I've been here. We played, Florida early in the season. Maybe it was 2 of them. 2 times we played Florida on the road, 18 and 22. So, we're used to having to play some SEC games early, and but it doesn't change your mentality. It still comes down to we're playing Southern Miss on August 31st, and that's what we're building up to. That's the sort of the crescendo of camp is, that first game.
Brad, how do you think Keyshawn's progressing where you've seen him grow from last year?
Yeah, I think there's just an understanding and a confidence that, okay, there's not a lot of unknown for him. Yes, we had him last year in spring ball, so we had a base part of but hey, this is my first year as a starter. This is my first year, taking the full workload. And now there's no unknown there. He understands sort of what's expected. And, he's one of those guys I think has had a really good camp thus far. So we need to keep progressing that.
What have you seen from Pop, having, been in the system for a little bit longer now?
Every day you see a guy that's more and more confident, more and more comfortable, within our scheme. The helmet communications are nice, just from a fact that, we can have a couple more on the practice field than we can have, we can only have one on game day, but on the practice field you can have it in some multiple. And so allowing me to sort of, if a play happens, I can just, without going over and slowing the pace of practice, I can just make a quick correction, at that moment in his helmet so that it sinks in the moment, if that makes sense. And so that's been a huge benefit, I think, in not just for Pop, but for all those guys that have put the helmet comms in. And but you can just, the games are deep. Not the game. The game is, I feel, always been sort of slow for him. Like he plays fast. The game's slow. but our defensive system for him is really starting to make sense. Like you can see certain plays, you're like, okay, he's starting to get it.
Has anything with Pop kind of come out that maybe you didn't know about, just watching his film and studying when you recruited him?
Not really. Like, I think what we saw on tape is what we're getting. We're getting a guy that's explosive, and he can find the football, and when he gets to the ball carrier, there's typically a pretty loud thud.
Will the air be the guy with the helmet in games, or is that still on the
Yeah, we'll decide that as we go forward.
This is a defense that has the opportunity to play against two different style quarterbacks, two different builds. What kind of advantage does that provide you guys for better preparing for the kind of stuff that?
Yeah, that's a great question, to be able to this year have a little bit more mix and balance in terms of everything we get to see in practice. Coach Hammond does such a great job of mixing styles, and then you have two quarterbacks that obviously can run the football, so we get a little bit more practice at that than maybe we did last year. So that's really good for our defense. Anytime you can see a different sort of style action, and then you couple it with everything they do, it puts a lot of stress on us on a constant basis. It stresses our rules as a defense, and that's the key, is like the more stress we can feel on the rules, I think it also helps our guys. It sinks in like why we do what we do.
Brent, does having the analyst be able to coach now in practice, does that make a tangible difference out there? Have you noticed that in there?
Absolutely. I absolutely do. I absolutely think that's a huge aspect. We've been really blessed here to have some really strong, analysts, and we're a Joe Scola and a Brian Brezowitz, and it's invaluable to us. Like, the tangible is not a strong enough word. Like, you can absolutely feel the difference, and to be able to have, again, just like the helmet communication, when you can make an instant correction, that sinks in a moment. You don't have to wait till you go watch on the film, and a lot of times guys, they forget what they felt in that moment. They forget what they saw. What play were you talking about? And like, if you can make it in the moment, like, it sinks in.
With the full pads coming on, have you been pleased with the physicality your group's played with at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think we've done some good things. We've had some moments that like you'll always have through a camp, that you have to jump on them, and you have to listen. We have a standard the way we operate, and I don't know if I've ever been around a team that, like, it never wavered one bit. Like, there are times that you have to just, again, re-point out, hey, is this your standard? Oh, and then they sort of check themselves. This is as good of a group in terms of doing the check by themselves, but hey, listen, it's like anything else, and that's why we're paid as coaches, to make sure we continue to push to that standard, and then try to push the standard up, elevate the bar. But overall, I think they've embraced the pads, and for the most part, they've done a decent job of embracing the heat. They've had some moments where it's jumped on their back a little bit, and they need to push through.
Greg, since you've been here, I guess 4 different offensive coordinators: Eddie, Liam, Rich, after Liam, and then Bush. Is that, in a weird way, has that been kind of good for you, that you get to talk to them and get different ideas?
Yeah, I mean, each one of them is a really, really good offensive coordinator in their own right, and they all have different ways they view the game, which is great for me, because then you realize the sort of the diversity of coordinator that you're playing, and when you go against 12 different opponents, and they might stem from similar trees, but then they all branch out, and they sort of they put their own little spin on it, and then you realize, okay, this is what he was thinking, and if I didn't have access to that, there's a chance that maybe I was like, oh, all offensive coordinators will think like this, but being able to have that, it's been good for me. Obviously, it's led to a lot of good friendships that I wouldn't have had, but yeah, it keeps me on my toes. It makes scripting a little bit harder every year,
Thanks, folks. Got players ready.
Has this been the hottest camp you've ever had in college football? No?
It has not.
Was it hotter in North Carolina than this?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Okay. How's everything going for you there playing without Josiah this year? Do you feel like that's going to lead to more snaps for you this fall?
I mean, losing Joe is a big part of it, but, it's the same thing. Everything's going to be everything, so, it's just more reps for me to keep going and just keep competing, so.
Okay, for you in the offseason, was there a specific goal you were looking at, maybe to get stronger, maybe lose some weight? What were you trying to do to improve as a player this offseason?
One of the biggest things this offseason for me was probably just get my twitch back that I had when I first got to college, from going to North Carolina, getting banged up and stuff, and kind of losing it, just getting back to my old self. That was probably about it.
Okay, was that specifically maybe to improve as a pass rusher?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think you can bring as a pass rusher if you have that, if you get that twitchiness back?
I can definitely bring a lot to the table. Having Dia and all the other guys rushing the outside, I can rush the inside of the pocket. So,
how's it been to get the pads on and start hitting full go again?
It's good. It's fun. I love this. School and I love this game. So,
how good do you think this defensive line can be this year?
It's gonna be real good. Yeah, real good.
Sean, what are you seeing from Kendrick Gilbert, a guy who's playing behind you a little bit, who's coming back from an injury? What progress have you seen from him?
I'm glad you mentioned that name. He's been putting that work in. Kendrick Gilbert is a whole different person, man. He's coming to work every day doing his thing, so he's doing what he got to do.
Any of the other young guys impressed you so far?
Really everybody, man. Jay Smith, Gerard Smith, Brian Robinson, man, them guys are doing some phenomenal things, and just coming out and having the reps and doing what they do. So, but Kendrick Gilbert, man, he's been doing some good things this offseason and in camp. So,
what have you seen different since you have put on the pads, just mindset and all that?
Just competing more every day, just getting better. That's probably the biggest thing right now, just getting better every day, competing, and not just a 2 to 3 day thing. There's 20 days of this. So if you mess up today, come back tomorrow and fix it. So.
You're not going to have as much of a head start from where you are as you used to. So,
Yeah.
How do you adjust to taking those guys on?
Man, just from practice out here, just coming out here, taking it on from them and stuff like that. I've been getting stronger in the weight room, so I feel ready for that, though.
You look bigger right now. What are you right now kind of compared to what you played at last year?
Yeah, right now I'm at 222. I played last year around 214. So, I put a few pounds in, feel stronger, feel faster.
Where does that show up? Can you tell that difference?
Oh, yeah, for sure. In my power, just hitting people, striking people, getting an offensive lineman off of me, I could feel that power I have now.
How important is it striking, playing more off-ball linebacker than compared to out in the field itself?
It's important, very important. The linemen coming at you, they coming at you fast. It's gonna happen fast. So you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready to strike, be powerful.
Now back to when the conversation happened about maybe trying to learn this position. Was that you going to the coaches? Was it the coaches going to you? How did that kind of work out?
It was really mutual. Coach White came up to me and. This was last year during the bowl game, so when he came over to talk to me about it, I was excited for that change. I feel like that's going to benefit me more in the future.
Yeah, has it been, because you're playing two positions right now, has that been, I don't know if overwhelming is the right word, but that caused you more mentally, got to be more locked in to knowing what to do on each kind of play at two different positions?
Yeah, I don't think it's overwhelming. I think I played 2 years in that position, so it's like ABCs to me, Gotcha. So I've been... Definitely the linebacker, that's what I got. That's what I've been learning a lot more. I've been focusing a lot more because the medium position, it's like ABC team. I've been playing there for 2 years.
Does it help having two guys like De'Eric and Pop who have played a lot of football in this league to kind of, show you the ropes or whatnot?
Yeah, for sure. Them playing a lot, them having a lot of experience in that position and being successful in that position, that helped me a lot. They help me, they bring me in a lot, help me in my game, elevate my game, and yeah, I'm thankful for them to being in that position for me.
With all that experience out there, what's the overall confidence level of the defense like?
Man, it's a lot. We all know everybody can do something. Everybody got experience. Everybody have played football for a long time in that defense. So having that is key. We need that, and that's gonna elevate our defense.
You said that you've been working that.
Was it as hot at Alabama as it is right now here?
Oh yeah, maybe it was a little hotter, so I'm kind of used to this, but it's definitely hot out here right now.
Now you all did the 3:30 practices down there, was that right?
We practiced the hottest part of the day, but we're catching it right here at the end of practice, so it's still hot.
So how has been just learning the defense and learning the system and being able to play fast. You getting that down pretty quickly, you think? So far?
Yes, sir. It's been really easy for me to learn the system. It's kind of similar to the system that I ran before now, but just with the help of the coaches and other players that have played in the system, I feel like that's made it come even easier.
Speaking of that, does it help to have 3 safeties that have played and have been in the system for a few years, and then obviously Jordan and Zion have been here like 3 or 4 years?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just being able to learn from those guys on like certain tips and things that are deeper into the defense that I may have not gotten to yet, or like just things that they can teach me and bring me along more to be up to what the group is doing. That has been really well to have those guys there.
Is there anything specifically the safeties or maybe the secondary at whole is really working on or trying to improve so far through camp?
We're all just working on, just pad level, eye control, communicating, and just going out there and going hard for each other every day. That's just the main thing.
Yeah. A lot of experience on this defense, really, from the front to the linebackers to the safety. Do you feel that, like, coming in here, that we got a lot of guys that kind of know what they're doing and have played a lot of college football?
Oh, yeah, you could see that just coming in from the start. You could see, like, we had guys at all 3 levels who have been here and guys who know what to do and know what to expect from the program and from, like, the coaches as far as the install-wise. So you can see that pretty much from the start.
You feel like that's going to pay off on game days?
I feel like it will pay off. Just having guys with experience and knowing what to do and when to do it, I feel like that is a big plus for your team.
All right, thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Paid for 3 years there, waiting his turn the way he did. I mean, that's not common with quarterbacks.
No, at a program like Georgia, that's what you got to do. You got to wait some time. One great year, you go to the league. So, no, I'm not surprised at all. The way coach running the program over there, sometimes you got to sit. Sometimes people don't. You got a few people that didn't sit, Malachi, Brock, but for the most part, everybody had to sit. I had to sit. So, was it shock? Nah, you got to stay through the grind, fight it out. And sometimes you got to go, sometimes you got to stay.
A lot of preseason buzz about you guys and the potential of this defense. Do you think that's a fair way to look at it, that you could be one of the better defenses?
I don't know what buzz we got. I don't pay attention to things like that. You got to focus on be where your feet are. And we at practice right now. We ain't out on the internet, so we got to just keep working and don't pay attention to the outside noise. I haven't seen the buzz. What they been saying?
That's like what you guys got, the personnel.
Speaking of where your feet are, do you feel like the defense get better each day?
Oh yeah, for sure. If we don't, we losing days, man. Game day, 23 days? 23 days. You can't take no step back. You got to keep going forward.
When it's hot, like when it's
not hot out here. It's not hot. It's not hot.
Do you have to remind your teammates of that?
Yeah, I tell them all the time, it's not hot out here. It's cool. They look at me crazy, man. You don't see the sun out? Yeah, but it ain't hot.
Thanks, Pop. Appreciate it.
Seems like JQ, there's overall depth of the cornerback position has improved from what it was last year. Do you agree with that? And where do you all think you all have grown as a unit?
Absolutely, man. Like you said, with the depth, I feel like it helps us stay fresh and prevent any soft tissue injuries. So, it's to the point now, Coach Collins believes that the 2 deep can go in and there'd be no production drop. So, if anybody gets a deep ball, we can bring someone in. So, for example, if Max get a deep ball, I can come in for Max and let him get a breather really quick and let him come back in fully energized instead of him having to play that play kind of tired out.
What's competition been like in your group?
Been very competitive and healthy, man. Like the guys, supporting each other. Like when I catch an interception, everyone's coming around me and celebrating. It's the same. You don't just see your teammate or your brother make a play and you envy him, man. It's like healthy competition, man. But it's also bringing the best out of us because we all competitors at the end of the day.
What have you seen out of the wide receivers?
Man, coach is doing a great job with them guys. Every last one of them has improved that game from last year, from the Danes to Berrien. But I feel like, man, Fredo has had a really good camp. Fredo has been very impressive. He's one of my favorite receivers to compete against. He's a dog.
A bunch of those guys have mentioned you when we talk to them. We talk about your size and strength and length. Who gives you that kind of challenge on the other side of the ball that is tough?
I say with me being a tall, lengthy guy, like the short and the quick guys give me a more challenge. So like the Anthony Browns and the Brandon Whites. But like I said, man, like the Fredo and Dane and Barry, they all are great receivers. So and what's really good about them guys, they're so versatile. So I'm able to get different looks against different receivers. When I want a big body, strong, physical receiver, I can get some reps with Dane. I want a speedster, I can go with Barry. I want a route technician, I can go with Fredo. It's just also Macklin too. He's in the slot, so I don't really get as much work with him. But man, all our receivers are talented, man. They pushing us and helping us be better corners every day.
How has Coach Collins helped you kind of maximize your physical gifts and that size and length?
Yeah, man. Coach Collins been great, man. I appreciate Coach Collins working with me last year because I expected my season to be better than what it was, but he still worked with me, man. He still believed in me, and I'm about to showcase why he should believe in me this season.
Thank you.
Thanks, JQ.
What do you like about DJ when you went out and added him after the spring, and how's he kind of adjusted so far?
Yeah, so DJ, man, he was a guy, like a lot of guys, man, we had a prior relationship with. We recruited him the first cycle through. And so we loved his length, his competitive nature. Kid's a competitor, he wants to compete. And so now it was about when things kind of changed at Michigan for us, now it was about, he already kind of knew what the plan would be, in terms of his development. Now it's about being consistent in that plan, while he's here. I'm excited about, where he can be if he continues to invest in that process,
You go out and look at these guys at your roster, and it seems like they're all 6'3" and long and over 200. The little Max might be the little guy, and he's not, little by any stretch.
Yeah. Well, Coach, hey, that's a Coach Stoops standard, right? He wants length, man. And so even if they're not above that 6 foot, we want guys who are long, who are thick and firm. With losing Drew, so we had to go out and replace some body types with that. And so we were able to address that in recruiting. But that length, man, it's able to affect the reception point. Guys are able to finish tackles more efficiently with those long limbs, and it creates disruption in timing. And that's what that length does for us in terms of what we've been as a scheme. But now, getting more sticky and being able to do those things. So now we're trying to grow those guys in those attributes to be able to put the foot in the ground and all those good things.
Is there a learning curve kind of for guys built like that to learn how to use that to their advantage?
Yeah, for sure it is, because naturally a lot of times the guys you're going against aren't as big, right? And so they're a little bit fast and quick and a little bit smaller, and so you got to use that length to your advantage and get yourself back in control of the routes. And so there is a learning curve to that, and it takes intentional work. Like, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes intentional work, focusing on the details, playing with good pad level because I am tall, right? And then playing with patience and knowing when to use that length, And so that's the process, right? That's the process, and that's what makes us excited as coaches.
Back on Mark mentioned those freshman corners, guys that can play early. Just kind of where are they at in their adjustment period, I guess, learning this in college for the first
Yeah, it's a lot. All right, college football is a lot compared to high school football, but the thing that I've been pleased, man, those guys have been workers. They've been intentional about the work, getting in early, spending time late, getting extra meeting times in their nap time and all that stuff. And so that's been encouraging. And so we're excited. It's fun to watch those guys when they can go play free on special teams and go, play football at its truest form. You start to see it, and then they get in that 11-on-11 defense and they start thinking, they're thinking out there. So we're trying to limit the amount of where it's spinning to them so they can go play fast and elevate what God gave them.
Jansen was a guy who made strides in the spring, it sounded like. Just how is he progressing, and is that still a thing maybe where you're all going to slide him down to nickel some, or are you just kind of working with him at cornerback right now?
Yeah, so JD, man, he's done a good job of understanding the process. Right? Everybody's process is different, and so early I think guys come in and they think it's supposed to happen, and so it takes time, right? It takes consistency, right? It takes commitment to that process, and then being willing to do more. Right, not just the bare minimum, and he's learning to do that, and I think he's starting to see some results. So, I told him today, man, hey, listen, I need you to continue on this path because he's going to give us some versatility in some different spots, and he's doing a good job of putting in that extra, that I talked about, trying to find a way to get an edge. And so he's got to continue to do that, and understand that process and know we're going to hold him to that standard.
What kind of growth have you seen